John Apocalypse for £2 says, is it worse, Indy 5 being a cash or critical failure? Now, I think this is actually a really jump-off point for a discussion. And I say this because it's actually worse it being a cash failure. And I'll explain. Because they lose a hell of a lot of money. It doesn't matter if it's a critical failure at this point, because if it's a cash success and it's a critical failure, they're done anyway. They don't care. They've banked the money. They're not making any more. It's the last one. Harrison Ford's done. It's the send-off. Yeah, sure, they might go, well, we might want to make some more with a spin-off. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. They can reboot it and reintroduce it moving forwards further down the line anyway. But if this is a cash failure, then they're really in the doghouse. Really, really severely in the doghouse. Now, if it's a cash and critical failure, well, that kind of makes sense anyway. But it's worse it being a cash failure for Disney. Tom? Agree?
No, I think you said it basically the best way anybody can say it. It's the last film. They've already shit-canned the spinoff, so whoever's idea was that, if it does fail, they'll be like, well, that person's smart that they killed that. But other than that, like, no, like, at this point, financially is all they give a crap about. Because this movie is one of the most expensive movies of all time, let alone company. Because at this point, the only movie that may have cost more is Avatar 2. But we're still hearing that, 300 is all we can account for. There may be more than that. We don't know about the reshoots. We don't know what they're going to end up spending on P&A. They did the Super Bowl ad and all that business. So,
true. Well, the number that got thrown at me, Tom, was $360 million in production.
It wouldn't surprise me.
Not counting M&P.
Yeah, I was hearing like 350, somewhere in that range, 355. I think was Valiant and those guys were saying. But like, again, it's at this point, it's got to make $1 billion. This story going around that are, that even Doomcock and others have been reporting on, that supposedly KK is going to be fired if it doesn't make $900 million. I don't think it matters one way or another. This movie makes less than $1 billion. All hell's going to break loose either way, because this is all. She's going to leave on her own accord. End of discussion.
Her being fired is not tied to the film making a set figure. All right, whoever thinks that doesn't understand contracts. So she wouldn't have suddenly got that worked into a contract recently. That's not how it works. So that's utter nonsense as well. I don't understand why people parrot this crap. Like, that's not remotely the truth. She hasn't been fired yet, all right? Yeah. And there's been lots of critical of financial failures at Lucasfilm, all right? Okay, they've literally just had to cancel Willow. If this doesn't make a certain amount of money, she's not going to suddenly be fired. She said she's going to be leaving after Indy 5 anyway. That's been long known. Bloody tied to a set figure. Goodness me.
I want to suggest that this film makes somewhere between 710 and 780. I think that's a fair range for what I think it'll do in the box office. If word of mouth on this film is poor, it won't make that much. It's just it right now, and I don't care if you guys can call them normies, you can call them whatever you want, but the normal consumer of media right now is more savvy than they were 5 years ago. They know something's wrong with the things that they're seeing in films. Some of them may not be putting their finger on exactly what's wrong with it, hollow storytelling or whatnot. But if something gets bad word of mouth and they're even remotely paying attention, they're not going to be consumers of it. In fact, when we're done here today, I will be off to see Dungeons and Dragons, Honor Among Thieves. I'm going to take, the arrows, as somebody said earlier today in one of my chats, that you don't have to. If this is a bad film, I'll tell you. If it's a good film, I'll tell you. And if you trust my opinion rather than someone else's, then, great. But, I'm entering with an open mind, and I'm going to give it an opportunity. I want it to be good, because the previous D&D film was trash.
Yeah. Let's get Andre's opinion on this just briefly. How you doing, buddy?
I'm good. Hey, thanks for having me.
The question is it worse, Indy 5 being a cash or critical failure?
I would say for Disney in the short term, it's worse if it's a cash failure, because critical thing is not going to give them any kind of cash on the bottom line unless the cash is there anyway. And look at what's going on. Bob Iger right now is fighting like what's the last number we heard? 7,000 people. The MCU is failing. Picard is failing. It's failure across the board. If he has to choose between what you want right now, the critics telling you how good and virtuous you are, or money for your bottom line so you can please your shareholders and there won't be a vote of lack of confidence against you, or whatever the term may be, he's going to want money, obviously.
Yeah. Yep. Agreed.
Yeah.
Agreed,
and in terms of the earlier question about, like, to be clear, like Kathleen Kennedy, she's probably gone after Indiana Jones comes out either way. That's not really the question. The question is, will she leave with dignity, with all fanfare of someone who has done amazing for Disney, or will she leave with, you are fired for incompetence and you messed out 3 of our biggest brands? Because, and the reason is really simple. These 3 brands, they have been destroyed. It's as simple as that. Now, whose legacy is going to be tainted? Is it going to be Iger's legacy, or is it going to be Kathleen Kennedy's legacy? Or will they share the blame between them? Will Bob Iger be such a gentleman that he's going to be like, you know what, Kathy, you just go with dignity and I'll take the blame and my legacy will be tainted by this? No. That's actually why I do believe that report. Because unless she is fired in disgrace, and there are leaks to indicate that she was let go because she has now ruined Indiana Jones on top of Willow and Star Wars, then the blame for that is going to go straight back to Bob Iger. That's his legacy ruined, no matter what he does. You don't get to choose your own legacy, as my comrades here like to point out. So if he lets her go with dignity after all those failures, it doesn't matter what he does. He's not going to be Granddaddy Iger or something. 10 years from now, he's going to be the individual who destroyed Star Wars, Willow, Indiana Jones, Marvel, Pixar, and everything. And he knows this.
Disney.
So yeah, exactly. So he's gonna know that at some point he's gonna have to start shifting blame here.
Yeah.
And unless Indiana Jones gets some money, why not do it to Kathleen Kennedy? Because she's the one that destroyed his legacy.
Yep, quite rightly so. Eloquently put.